Today in crypto land, the US Congress has had a public hearing on Bitcoin and Facebook's Libra, out of which some very interesting statements have come. LedgerX is opening bets that Bitcoin will reach $100,000 by December 2020. Japan is exploring a crypto-based Swift alternative, and so much more, guys. A big thank you to today's sponsor, KuCoin, which if you haven't checked it out yet, then I would highly recommend to go over and check out KuCoin. It has long been a great place to find and to trade crypto gems, and KuCoin is keeping its doors open to US citizens while other exchanges are shutting their doors. KuCoin is also now offering staking services for IOST, Atom, Tron, and EOS, with more coins to be added to that staking service in the near future. And KuCoin has just launched their margin trading platform called KuMex. The new margin trading service from KuCoin will allow for up to 20x leverage. There is a link down below where you can get signed up for KuCoin, or simply head over to the website to get some more information about the services that they have to offer. So, guys, at the time of recording this video, Bitcoin is inching its way back towards $10,000, which actually made me stop and think and kind of wonder a little bit. Is this the last chance to get Bitcoin for under $10,000? And look, I'm not saying it's going to be today or tomorrow, but at some point, the train is going to leave the station and simply never return. Which, when you realize that, it makes you kind of happy when you take advantage of these dip situations to stack a few more sats. And look, we may get many more dips below $10,000 before we take off to the moon, but we must realize that much like the $1,000 mark, there will come a day when it will simply never be this cheap again. A reminder too that you can now get 1 million Satoshis for less than $100. It's a damn bargain when you think about the long-term prospects of Bitcoin. Stacking and chilling Satoshis is the most hassle-free long-term strategy for Bitcoin. Take a look at the big picture here, guys. And let me throw a few fun numbers your way before breaking down some of the big fundamental stories that we're looking at today. Over $1 trillion worth of Bitcoin has been traded in the past 30 days. That's insane, guys. Just Bitcoin, not counting all the other cryptos. Although adjusted volume from trusted exchanges puts the number closer to 200 billion. I know there's a lot of fake volume out there, but that's still massive. Still massive. 200 billion is massive, guys. And of course, that does not account for the derivative platforms like BitMEX or the CME, which have again seen massive volume, multiple record-setting days over the last few weeks. The one thing, though, that we can be certain of is on-chain transactions, which currently is showing around $3 billion a day in value being transferred with Bitcoin. By comparison, Ethereum is doing around 650 million and XRP is doing around 250 million. And look, sure, some of that may just be people transferring to other addresses that they own, but a lot of that is going to be actual value changing hands. According to various reports, there is also huge volume going on right now across the OTC desks, which means that there are big buyers who want to buy Bitcoin for under $10,000. And it's not just the big whales who are gobbling up Bitcoin, guys. No. Bitcoin has also been seeing significant volumes in places like Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, and Chile, all of which are seeing new volume highs over on local Bitcoins. And then there is this, a new product on offer from LedgerX. This, of course, is the American exchange that recently secured a derivatives license from the Commodity Future Trading Commission, or the CFTC. LedgerX will be allowing traders to bet on if Bitcoin will pass $100,000 by December 2020. It's kind of funny when you actually stop to think about what that is. You know, a lot of people probably imagine there's some really serious stuff happening on Wall Street. But really, guys, this is not very far removed from, I don't know, hitting the casino and gambling. Anyway, I digress. The call option will pay only if Bitcoin manages to surmount that crazy milestone by December of 2020, which of course is still 18 months away. And this is physically settled, guys, so you'll get paid out in Bitcoin if you're right. According to the chief executive of LedgerX, institutional customers that have assets valued at anywhere from 10 million to 1 billion have expressed interest in this new product. So the question to you, would you do it? Would you throw money on the bet of Bitcoin being $100,000 in December 2020? Or would you just buy the Bitcoin today and hodl it? In adoption news, one of the largest grocery store chains in Australia will now allow its customers to pay in cryptocurrencies. The Independent Grocers of Australia has almost 1,500 stores across the country. This new payment service will be enabled by the guys over at Travel by Bit. So basically you'll walk in, there'll be a QR code which you can scan, and there'll be of course a sign at any of these places that says you can pay in Bitcoin here. Now it's just starting off at one location, but if successful, of course, we can see that rolled out across all of the stores in Australia, which is totally awesome. Australia has been doing some fantastic work in terms of crypto adoption. This is just another great story to add to the growing pile of adoption news coming out of Australia. Now moving on to France. France's financial watchdog is set to approve the first group of cryptocurrency companies under their new rules on digital coins, which is significant as France is one of the biggest economies yet to provide clear and concise crypto rules to encourage innovation inside the country. The rules will require crypto-related firms to abide by standards on capital requirements and on consumer protection, and of course, on paying taxes in France. In exchange for that, they will be supported by the French government and guaranteed access to banking infrastructure, and in general, be treated like respectable startups versus the pariah status that many of these companies face in most countries. There will initially be 3 or 4 ICOs approved under this scheme, which is fantastic, guys. One of the biggest gripes from cryptocurrency companies has been a lack of regulatory clarity, lack of support from regulators, lack of banking support, etc., etc. Well, of course, we have seen Malta and Japan and Australia and Switzerland and a few others paving the way. France is definitely a welcome addition to the crypto club. Now, moving on to a country which is kind of struggling to provide that clarity to the crypto industry, America. In Washington today, there was a hearing on Libra, which they also talked about Bitcoin a lot. It was a big part of the conversation that they had. It seems that the congressmen are largely comfortable with and interested in Bitcoin, but they're definitely not big Libra fans. From the initial statements, they see Bitcoin as something of kind of being more akin to the internet, an open protocol that anyone can access, that anyone can build on, which no one controls, and which can provide massive innovation and value to various sectors of the economy. Whereas Facebook's Libra is a corporate play of basically taking on the role of a bank in a walled garden with questionable privacy practices that will basically only enrich the members of the Libra Alliance and give even more power to an already mega powerful corporation. And guys, I want to play a few short clips for you because it was amazing to hear people in the US Congress actually speaking intelligently about Bitcoin. So have a quick listen to this short clip here.
The reality is, whether Facebook is involved or not, change is here. Digital currencies exist. Blockchain technology is real. And Facebook's entry in this new world is just confirmation, albeit at scale. The world that Satoshi Nakamoto, author of the Bitcoin white paper, envisioned, and others are building, is an unstoppable force. We should not attempt to deter this innovation, and governments cannot stop this innovation. And those that have tried have already failed.
As I'm sure you're aware, Bitcoin is now 10 years old, and now suddenly, magically, Congress is responding. In other words, after more than a decade, Congress has apparently started to care. I'm glad after all these years that Congress has finally decided to pay attention to the technology that could again, just like the internet, upend the way we do everything in our lives. Unfortunately, some people want to unnecessarily restrict it or even ban it. They fear change. Nothing has been more clear on this committee than the blind aversion to change that some of our members have constantly espoused, even when it wasn't required or even the subject of the hearing. I'm amazed at how easily representatives from California are so willing to suppress the innovation occurring in their own state. And as much as they would like to be a separate country, the benefits those innovations could have for these United States.
And yes, even the topic of non-Bitcoin cryptocurrencies came up. They literally talked about shitcoins in Congress today, guys. This is a funny one. Have a listen to this.
A lot of background information about Bitcoin and about the immutable distributed ledger and the benefits of that, decentralization versus centralization. A lot of people in this space will use a phrase that you may be familiar with. There's Bitcoin and then there's shitcoin. Are you familiar with that phrase and what people might mean by that?
I am.
So could you elaborate on how people would differentiate the two?
Absolutely. I think the idea here is Bitcoin has had a long track record. The network has been operating for 10 years. The Bitcoin network has been tested. The decentralized nature of the Bitcoin protocol has been tested. People have tried to co-opt control of Bitcoin source code and push it in certain directions that benefit their business models. And this network and this protocol and its open source governance have withstood that test. It is robust, it has been tested, and it has had the benefit, frankly, of spending its first 5 years in its nascency, sort of operating in this environment of innovation and not having a lot of regulatory attention.
Is there a central authority that could dilute the value of Bitcoin?
No.
Is there a central authority that could filter transactions at Bitcoin?
No, that can only be done through the products and services that people utilize to access the network.
Like Coinbase, for example.
Absolutely. That is a U.S. company that is regulated based on the facts of what its business model is.
Right. And so just like in the U.S., the Federal Reserve or the Treasury doesn't change the dollar. The people at the edges, the banks generally do that. But with Bitcoin, you can still engage in peer-to-peer transactions like cash, correct?
Absolutely.
Because open source code, you could have a wallet, correct?
Absolutely.
All these features are different than many of the things that people call colloquially shitcoin.
So my initial thoughts on all of this is that the US Congress actually wants to kind of just get out of the way and to let Bitcoin do its Bitcoin thing, which I see as a positive. Hopefully, if any Bitcoin related laws are actually passed in the USA by the Congress, they'll be the kind of laws that encourage more innovation and provide the kind of regulatory clarity that the industry has been seeking for years. But look, guys, do we need the US Congress to rubber stamp Bitcoin? No, we don't. Far from it. But will it be better for all of us if they support rather than oppose Bitcoin? Yes, absolutely. Bitcoin will be fine with or without the support of America's Congress. Let's just keep that clear. Bitcoin can be stopped by no one. But I would rather have allies and more clarity for innovation than enemies any day of the week, guys. And our final story for today comes out of Japan. Japan's government is leading a global push to set up an international network for cryptocurrency payments, similar to the SWIFT network, which is of course already used by global banks. Did you guys just hear that? This is real. This is happening. This is crazy. Japan is exploring a SWIFT alternative, and not just a SWIFT alternative, but one based on cryptocurrencies. This is nuts, guys. Add, of course, that to China's SWIFT alternative and Russia's SWIFT alternative and Europe's new SWIFT alternative, and it would seem that the continuation of the dominance of the SWIFT network and the US-dominated financial order and the US dollar is being challenged big time. And it's crazy to see it being challenged by some of the US's biggest and closest allies like Japan and Europe, as well as some of the biggest enemies like China and Russia. What a fascinating time to be alive, guys. Tokyo is aiming to have the network up and running within the next few years. Currently, we know very, very little about how all of this would actually work. Will it be run on a public blockchain like Bitcoin? Will it use Stellar to move stablecoins around? Will XRP finally prove that it is the standard? Or will it be Dogecoin? It's not going to be Dogecoin, guys, but considering XRP, of course, has relationships with some of Japan's biggest banks, could be a thing. Or will they simply build a new permissioned blockchain? Time will tell, guys, but wow. Big things are definitely happening in the crypto industry. What a crazy industry. It's so exciting, guys. Anyone doubting the future of crypto, they're simply not paying any attention to all of the stuff that's going on. This is just one day of stories. And that's massive. Anyway, guys, just my 2 Satoshis as always. You will let me know what you think about any of these stories or anything else down below in the comments section. Daily reminder, of course, that you guys are supremely freaking awesome, and I love you all so much. So thank you so much for watching today's video. And if you did enjoy it, hit that thumbs up button. Remember, of course, to subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Click that bell to know when I put out a new video. Long live the blockchain, and peace out the next time.